Hi guys, again, same day. I realized I wanted to talk about something because I feel like I am being too much closed in this channel. I mean, there's not a bunch of people who watch me anyway, so it's not like I should hide something. But also because I am a sex positive person and I am vulgar at times, so I feel like I'm holding myself back and actually talking about the things I usually talk to myself, and that's the point of the channel. So today I wanted to talk about my sexuality because why not? Um, yes, I am a person in a straight relationship, but I am actually bisexual, and I will not go into the whole debate about pansexuality or bisexuality because yeah, saying you like both genders kind of excludes verbally people who are non binary. But I also do know for certain that people who say that would not refuse dating a non binary person. So I will not go into that. I will just say I actually identified myself as pansexual because yeah, I would date a non-binary person, but also because the flag is prettier. But anyways, my journey with my sexuality was weird, I would say. It was not as harsh as many people, I would say, depending on the country you were from, most people. And I'm kind of lucky. I'm actually lucky to have parents that have no problems with it. They're not like the most, I would say, politically correct people, but they actually supported me when I had my first open to the public crush, female crush. So I would say I'm very lucky, but it was confusing because I struggled a lot with internalized misogyny and stuff like that. So I wanted to talk about it because maybe someone else will resonate with it. I don't know. Um, as long as I remember being alive and conscious, I have always liked women. And for me, that difference in my head never existed. I think that's why it was also easy for me to identify that I was bisexual and be open about it. You know, it was not easy talking to women, and it didn't change with time, but um, yeah. I also, at the time that I realized that it was something different from the norm and that I started identifying out loud that I liked women, not many people had reached that point. You know, most people were still teenagers and living under societal pressure. So many people didn't reach that point. So I haven't met so many sapphics when I was younger. So I didn't struggle because I wasn't looking specifically for women. I am not lesbian, but I couldn't find a girl to date, so I would often end up in straight relationships. And it's just logical, you know, in the world there is a very small percentage of people who are not heterosexual and even smaller that are he- uh, um, homosexual. So for bisexuals to end up in a homosexual relationship is logically rare, because just because there's less sapphics in the world, but um, I didn't say it out loud to my family specifically, because at the time, I had this in my head that I would never find a girlfriend, because I don't know if it's like horrible for me to say it because I have a boyfriend now, but I have always preferred the female form and appearance. But I was so afraid to talk to women that I had this in my head that I would never like date a woman in my life. So I just didn't bother talking about it to anyone but my friends and people online. And that was around the time that I got my first online girlfriend. And yeah, it was cringy as all online relationships go. I had like some online girlfriends. I couldn't have this personally because there weren't many open sapphics at the time. But when I was a teenager, I had my first open crush, female crush, and my family actually supported me. My parents like would drive me to meet her, but all the three times I we arranged to meet didn't go well, so I was ghosted basically. And so that was my first in person experience with women, with liking women and, being reciprocal. And that was a disaster. So it kind of left me really upset because, I have always felt like women are too good for me. I would never find a girlfriend. And the first girl that, I can meet in real life and I can actually say to her face that I want to take her out, ghosts me and gets a boyfriend right after. So I felt terrible after that. I felt horrible. And men were always easier to find because, well, most people are straight. And so I got a boyfriend a few months later. I don't know what the time frame was, but I was in a relationship with a guy for like 5 years. And yeah, that's a lot. And we broke off because I don't know if it's too much detail. I would not say names about anyone that I talk in any video, but he started becoming an incel while I was in my progress on becoming less misogynistic. So we did not get along in the end of our relationship, so we broke off. And then we got another boyfriend because I was depressed and lonely. But after that, I decided to just stay single, and I don't know, I became a young woman single and who wanted to experiment. So, and it was not easy. Like, I would, get with girls at parties and all that, but to have an actual relationship with a girl was quite difficult because I was in a straight relationship for so long, because when you are in a relationship, the singles world around you changes a lot over time, and people have those micro relationships together and form circles and lore, you know, and you're just not in the know because you're in a close relationship. So, you know, but since every single sapphic had a history with each other, it was really hard to meet people who didn't have this difficult relationships. You know, I don't want to like tap into that stereotype that lesbians always have this relationship with their exes, but that's kind of exactly what happened. I met this girl and I was super into her. She had a cool style. She was like very she had this strong persona, and I am drawn to that. One thing about me is that I like masculine women and feminine men. I wouldn't say my boyfriend right now is feminine, but he's not the macho type of guy. I think he's very like his own person, and I really like that. Anyways, I was drawn to her, and she, the way we interacted and everything she said to me made me believe we were leaning towards something more serious. And at that time, I was not experienced with women still because I was in a relationship. And that's where it gets quite confusing because I was getting with girls at parties, you know, kissing. But I was still afraid because I always knew that I liked the female form, you know, I like femininity, I like women, but I struggled a lot with internalized misogyny, and that made me afraid because I was afraid that deep down, was I even bisexual? Because for me, attraction to a the gender and the genitalia are two completely different things, you know, because I don't know, someone could be trans and not and decide not to do a gender affirming surgery, you know, so that would make no difference for me. So attraction to the gender and the person is different from the genitalia for me. So since I had no experience with the female anatomy, I was scared because I don't know, I was just super nervous about it because I don't know, outside of Brazil or even outside of where I live, but it was always taught to women that if ever something different happens down there, it's because you're dirty, you know. In female healthcare ads about female products and female hygiene products or medicine, there's that constant reminder that you're stinky and dirty, you know. It always it you know, it's obviously that is talking about the symptoms, but you know, that constant reminder that ads have, like, are you stinky down there? Do you smell like fish? Do you smell like rotten eggs? That's too much, but like, it's always leaning, like, it's always pointing how it smells bad and it's dirty and disgusting. And I was personally always taught by everyone around me that if you're itchy, it's because you're not washing it properly. If it smells different, if your discharge looks different, if anything different happens, it's because you're dirty and gross and unhygienic. And so I grew this real big insecurity in me with my own body. And because I was always depressed since I was a child, I have always struggled with depression. I didn't drink water properly. I would always hold um, when I needed to go to the bathroom, and so I ended up having UTIs very frequently when I was small and a teenager, and sometimes it still happens because I don't drink water and I hate going to the bathroom. But anyways, um, I would have bladder problems, stuff like that. And it just grew this insecurity in me because I always thought, well, this is happening because I'm dirty and because I'm disgusting and unhygienic and I'm not washing myself properly because that's what everyone told me. That's what everyone taught you. Taught That's what everyone teaches girls. That if something is different, it's because you're dirty. And it's always changing. It's a very sensitive mucus organ. It's like having an inside organ, but in the outside. It's very sensitive. And it absorbs things that end up there, you know? And it's so sensitive that if you have a mood change, if you have like a dietary change, it can change something that down there. And since I grew up being borderline bipolar and I didn't know that, my mood would change a lot. And to the point that I had I don't know how you call it outside of Brazil, but basically I have gastritis that happens when I'm nervous, when I'm super like stressed. Stress arthritis. Stress gastritis. Um I just have problems with my stomach because I'm too nervous and I'm too stressed and too irritated all the time. But anyways, multiple factors for me to always end up sick because being irritated, being stressed all the time makes you sick. And so down there is no different. It makes you sick down there too. And so I would frequently get sick. And I would always think that it was because I'm dirty and I'm gross and I'm disgusting. And I would hate myself and I would hate my body. And I would hate the fact that I was born a woman and I was born with a vagina. I hated that. And so when I became having relationships with women and being close to having a sexual relationship, I started getting really nervous because I had this internalized misogyny in me. I was afraid that I wouldn't like it, that it would be gross, But then it happened, and that thing that happens when you're nervous and you're anticipating something, you're scared and you're like super agitated, and then it happens. It's like nothing. It was like, oh, okay, it happened, whatever. I was stressed as fuck for nothing. I spent so many years thinking like, am I even bisexual? Am I even allowed to call myself that? Because labels are so important, but I was scared down there that I didn't like what I liked, and I always knew that I liked it, but I was scared because people have taught me to hate myself and hate people who are like me. So and something I think that having my first sexual relationship with a woman has helped me heal my internal misogyny even with myself, because after that we broke off and we went our separate ways. But I started reflecting more on why I hated my body so much and why I was so insecure to receive in sexual relationships, being the receiver. And I healed. It was also with the help of my boyfriend. He is very supportive, and he made me realize how toxic and, how do you say it? He made me realize that my past relationships with men sucked and that they weren't so, like, into women as I'm not saying they're gay, but like, when you like something, don't you want to, like, taste it? So, yeah, that's basically it. Anyways, that's a bit TMI, but having that experience and realizing, well, the female genitalia is actually really good. It's weird to say that, but yeah, I do like women. I do like women a lot. And as I said, I've always preferred the female form, but when it comes to genitalia, I don't have a preference now that I know it, you know? Every different one has its perks, and it's different. It's very, very different. But it's not different in the way you'd expect it. It's not different. Like, it's not different for if you're bisexual, if you're really bisexual and you like both. It's not different in the sense that you may expect to have a preference. I expected to have a preference, and I don't. Like, it's really not different in that sense, but it's very different. And it's not hard as it seems to navigate. I would say so myself. But yeah, that healed a part of me because I realized, well, okay, let's stop being shy. I have already talked a lot, so anyways, I have realized that, well, there's nothing to worry about it because I have always thought, like, for something to happen, I must be in pristine condition. I have to be, like, right out of the shower and all prepared for that, when in real life, when you're, like, in heat, it rarely happens when you're all prepared. You're all like, no. But also, about bushes, do you guys prefer no bush, half bush, a trimmed, well maintained bush, or just full natural beauty bush? Because I am, maybe you guys hate me for it, but I am a no bush hater. For me, no bush is too unnatural. Like, give me trimmed bush, but don't give me no bush. Like, either, like, no matter your gender, please don't be bald. I hate bald. I just hate bald. It's weird. It's unnatural. I'm a woman of God, and I like things how God made it. But, like, anyways, you're not all prepared when things happen, Sometimes you can't prepare, you plan a nice dinner, so yeah, you'll prepare for that. But, like, sometimes, especially if you're in a relationship, you're a serious relationship, most times it will not happen when you're prepared. And sometimes you will not even want it when you're prepared ahead. The moment you will come, you're all prepared and you're like, mm, not it's not fun anymore, you know. So sometimes it will happen when you're not expecting, and maybe you're like not prepared, maybe you haven't showered yet, maybe you're sweaty. And so I've always thought like I need to be always prepared, and that put a such a huge pressure on me because it's humanly impossible. It's humanly impossible, and it's just illogical too. Like, you don't live in a movie, you know, a adult movie, to always be prepared for that. So it also healed in me because sometimes, you know, she was probably not like all stupid like me. So oh my god, is it too much to say? Like, it doesn't taste bad when it's sweaty. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay? It's it's nothing. It's nothing. You fear that you'll be smelling like rotten fish and it'll taste like, I don't know, onions and garlic. It's nothing. It's really nothing. Like, society tells you that you'll be disgusting and you will be like worthy of a hazmat suit, and you have to prepare for it every moment in your life, because if not, you'll be gross and terrible. But it's nothing. It's really nothing. You know, so that also healed a part of me that, like, why the fuck was I worried? I'm a person. I'm a person that lives and sweats, you know? Why was I fucking worried about every single thing, you know? So that was good for my mental health, and the fact that I was so scared, you know? And so, yeah, that was my experience. Right now, I am in a straight relationship, and to be honest, being with women also have made me realize why the fuck was I dating some kind of man before, you know? My boyfriend right now is like the best I could ever ask for. But it's because I have experienced what a man can and cannot be. And to be honest, I have been in terrible relationships before, and I'm happy that I have a past. Of course, he doesn't care because why the fuck would he? I don't care about his past either. But to be honest, I'm happy that I have a past. And I'm happy that I got to experience things that I experienced. And I don't know, I'm just happy that I am the way I am, you know. But tell me, are you bisexual? Are you experienced? Are you scared? Are you straight and scared? Maybe. If anyone sees this, tell me about it. Because as you have seen, you know, if you watch this video, I'm all positive here. Tell me what you think and what you feel. Tell me, is this even real? So yeah, I hope you liked it. I'll make popcorn and I'll buy a Coke and an energy, and I'll buy an energy drink. Don't let my boyfriend see this, okay? Bye.